Hi everyone and welcome back to Surviving the Love Bomb. If you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Emma Carrington. I'm trained as a community services worker and I'm also a victim survivor of domestic abuse. So the disclaimer is that I am not a psychologist or a counsellor. The aim of this channel is to share all that I've learned on my journey through my abusive marriage and coming out the other side on my way to healing. So if that sounds like content that could help you, please hit like and subscribe so you don't miss my Tuesday uploads. Okay, today we are going to be discussing the barriers to leaving an abusive relationship. I'm sure we can all agree that leaving an abusive relationship is quite often easier said than done. It's hard for people on the outside looking in. It's frustrating when all they want is to be able to rescue the person that they love, but that person seems to be fighting against being saved. What people need to understand is that a victim who stays in an abusive relationship is not weak or stupid. They are constantly running their own risk assessments every day to stay safe. Abuse is about control, and for a victim to get out, they need to be able to overcome all the obstacles that have been mounted up in their way over the course of the relationship. The abuser may have financial control, they have generally isolated the victim, and they may even have threatened the safety of the victim's family or their own children. That is why it's never okay to ask, why didn't you just leave? Why did she stay? Or anything else of the sort. So often victims say that they just want the abuse to end. They still love their partner. That's why they keep going back time and again, hoping and trusting that this time will be different, that this time they will change and they can live the life that they planned in the beginning of their relationship. Because if you know anything about being love bombed or courted by a narcissist or emotional abuser, you will know that they will sell you on them being the answer to a life you could only dream of. It takes victims on average about 7 times of leaving and returning before finally leaving for good. Relationship abuse is an insidious thing. A lot of the time people don't even know that what they are dealing with day after day would be considered abuse. I know I didn't. It sneaks up on you and the abuser blames you for it all, and eventually you believe it. So you don't see what they're doing to you, only what they've gaslighted you into believing. I can only hope that the education I'm putting out there around what domestic abuse looks like in real life can help some people who need it and their loved ones to support them while they navigate getting away safely. There are many factors that keep us trapped in these situations, and a big one that many people who haven't been through an abusive relationship don't understand or realize is so debilitating is the fear. The fear of the repercussions. Leaving is the most dangerous time in any abusive relationship. Abusers do not like losing control of their victims. So the minute you are even thinking about walking away from them, they will begin to scramble to regain control over you, sometimes at any cost. So yes, the number one barrier to leaving is fear. If the end of the relationship guaranteed the end of the abuse or the violence, it'd be a no-brainer. But more often than not, that is not the case. In fact, the violence usually escalates. Most domestic violence homicides occur once the victim has left, attempted to leave, or is threatened to leave. Victims live in fear of what will happen to themselves and or their children if they try to leave. And having been isolated, they are very often without a safe place to go or a support system to help them stay safe. Guilt is another huge factor. Victims have been conditioned to take the blame for everything in the relationship, so this can be a hard pattern to break. We feel guilty for breaking up the family, or that our partner will be left all alone. We feel bad for them. We feel guilty for pressing charges and ruining their lives, when in reality their own actions have brought these things about. And we know that logically that's the case, but we still feel bad. We still feel guilty and like we need to protect them. Economic dependence is another major obstacle to overcome when you're looking at leaving. Financial abuse is very common in abusive relationships. The victim quite often doesn't have access to their own money, which makes it very hard to make plans for a future when you have nowhere to go and no way to support yourself. They will often not have a bank account, or at least one that's not a joint account with their abuser. And it's not just the getting out and the getting set up. A lot of the time the abuser will convince their victim that they are useless and there is no way that they could survive without them. So a victim has to not only overcome the fact that they don't have any financial ability to support themselves and potentially their children, but also the psychological damage done by the constant erosion to their self-esteem. Then there is the children. Despite the devastating effects witnessing abuse can have on children, victims often feel that they don't want their children to grow up without both parents. They often believe they're hiding the abuse from the children and the children aren't affected. Victims may also fear that if they leave, the abusive partner will get custody of the children. This may have been threatened any time dissolving the relationship has come up. Many adults who abuse their partners also abuse the children. Victims may stay as they feel it's the only way they can protect their children from the abuse. The children are never better off for having an intact family if they're subjected to abuse. And the studies show that children who witness abuse are affected in the same ways as those who have had the abuse inflicted upon them themselves. Another obstacle is the straight up isolation. Nobody knows what you're going through. There's nobody there to help you. Nowhere you can go to feel safe or catch your breath. Your abuser has stripped away your family ties, your friends. They've made sure you don't or can't work. It can feel overwhelming when you feel like there's absolutely no one in your corner. But there is help available. Shelters and crisis centres understand what you're dealing with, and they are the best places to start when trying to build a support system. Please know that I understand that it's not easy to leave, but it is possible. Everyone deserves to live a happy life in which they feel safe. If you know someone in an abusive relationship, don't push them to leave. What you know of the relationship is only the tip of the iceberg. They know their abuser best and the threat they pose. These victims have also been controlled and not allowed to think for themselves, sometimes for years. They don't need someone else telling them what to do. They will likely get angry and push back at you. It's safe to do so with you, unlike in their relationship. They need your support to find their own way through this in their own time. So as frustrating as this can be, please don't give up on them. We, the victims, we're not trying to be difficult. Keep checking in unless they tell you it makes them unsafe. Do what you can to make sure they know that they can always come to you. Anyway, that's all from me, my friends. If anything I've discussed today has given you cause for concern about your own situation, please reach out for help. As always, if there's any way I can be of assistance in finding local resources for you, please don't hesitate to contact me. My email is in the description box below, or come on over and join our private support group, Surviving the Love Bomb, on Facebook. If you're finding this content valuable, please don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos, because I upload every Tuesday. I've also started a true crime podcast and YouTube channel, Trapped by Love. So if you're interested in true crime, come over and check it out. I upload on a Friday to anywhere you listen to podcasts, and also to YouTube. There'll be a link in the description box below for that also. So until next time, please take care of yourselves and be kind to one another.